So our group actually has been involved in hospital visits. Actually only one, to be honest with you. But, well, no, I shouldn't say that. We actually do events at BC Children's Hospital, which is obviously children's hospital in Vancouver, BC. It's something that we pre-arrange very much. We very quickly skipped over that. But essentially you have to make sure that you contact those event organizers and go and get your prior permission for that type of thing. It isn't impossible. Admittedly, it's not easy. It does take a little bit of clout, to use that word, and experience, and more than that, references to get into places like that. So I wouldn't jump right into it. If that's the kind of thing you guys want to do, that's the reason that, Kijani has his group that he organizes. I'm part of a group called Helping Paws, as I said. Helping Paws is a non-profit registered corporation. We are 100% legit. We don't we have a website, we have documentation, we have references, we have criminal background checks for every single member, including spotters. So I mean we make sure that there are no questions as to our intentions and our interests. And for that reason, we get a lot of opportunities that I think a lot of people as individuals might not. So that's actually a lot more in depth, but thank you for bringing that up.
And the press doesn't question about those things?
Well, the press will certainly find it interesting. We've actually been approached by cameras and so on. We don't typically get on camera other than just glancing shots, though. You will find occasional footage of our stuff on YouTube from news reports and stuff like that because we were on camera for something or whatever. Of course, it's a huge charge for us, but that's not why we're doing it. We do it just to makes people smile, and and if it makes them smile on TV too, hey, great. That's the whole point. But yeah, don't do it to get on TV. That's not a good idea. There's way better ways to do that.
Just to add a point there, if you're doing something in a place like that, as Kijani and I found out, even if you have permission, you need to be absolutely sure that everything is set. Because like we went one where we thought we were invited there, and they immediately kicked us out as soon as we got there because of scheduling.
A lot of miscommunications. You got to make sure, doubly sure that.
So yeah, if it's any place where they normally wouldn't let you have a mask, like a hospital or mall or some kind of event like that, be absolutely 100% sure that they're okay.
Yep, absolutely agreed. Yes, Ms.
I was going to say something about malls. If you do want to do a mall, get malls, get the mall management's name, write it on a card. When you get off the phone, call the mall back, ask for the security department, talk to the head of their department. Sometimes mall management doesn't speak to security.
Yeah, security might not even know.
And sometimes the guy doesn't even know, and all you need to wreck your day is Barney Fife not knowing you're there and tries to kick you out. That way you'll have this manager, you'll have the mall manager.
Which is also
these two people. Here's their names that we can be here.
Which Kijani has also happened to our group with the Salmon Days Festival last year.
As a general rule, malls are a bad idea.
Yeah, indoor malls especially.
They're just not a good idea because malls, number one, usually have their own mascots first off, and second of all, if they don't, they have groups that actually pay to be there, like the Santa Claus Easter bunnies of the world, this type of thing, or corporate mascots that are walking the mall and paying to do that. So you have to really watch that. I don't generally recommend malls. I know they're fun because it seems perfect. It's an indoor environment, relatively clean, families and so on, but it's very risky.
And they all have indoor no mask policies too.
Yeah, because you can walk right into like a jewelry store, for example, and pull out a gun under your fursuit. How do they know you don't have it, right? There's just no way to know. So there's a lot of stores in general, stores in particular, that will prevent you from going in. I made it about 3/4 of the way around Fry's Electronics once before they kicked us out, and that was the other thing. I got kicked out not by store security, but by their secret shoppers. And you don't even know what they are. They look like just random guys, random thugs off the street, and they will come up and literally tackle you if you're not cooperative. So, and they almost did. They grabbed my arm really violently, and I'm like, who the hell are you? And then I realized, oh, this must be a secret shopper. Thankfully, I realized that. He just looked like some random big dude that was just trying to beat me up or something. Going out to somewhere like a public park, we already touched on this briefly. Use that term, guerrilla fursuiting, and just randomly go out. Like if you're with a bunch of buddies, you got a bunch of fursuits, you're like, you know what, let's just go out there and start fursuiting. I'm not going to say no to that, okay? I personally think that's a heck of a lot of fun. If you make sure you've got spotters and you're going to a public place, there's not much anyone can do to you, other than the things we've already talked about. But why don't we actually get into that? Now, Niko, you've been so patient. Thank you very much. Very patient fox. Fox, is it? Fox? Sorry. wolf. Wolf, yeah, okay. Wolf, fox, no, okay. Wolf, someone help me out here.
Fox.
He's a wolf, here's a wolf, okay.
Just a wolf. Clear
Right,
cat, if you look at
okay.
his back.
Just a red
Now,
wolf.
now you guys just observed something actually, so that was very interesting. So that is a question you will get very, very, very often. And just because it just happened, I'm going to skip this, we'll skip over this topic a bit. How do you tell people what species you are if you're ambiguous?
Someone thought I was a bear.
Yep.
I've been called a lion.
And what did you do?
Squirrel.
Red call, what did you do when they called you that?
Well, usually I try to get my spotters to tell them what I am. Sometimes I'm wearing a badge, but usually not. Sometimes I'll just show them my tail, which you would think would be fairly obvious. Every once in a while, rarely, if there are no children present, I'll just tell them what I am. But I don't talk to kids, but like adults, I don't really see the point in there being an illusion to people who already know you're just a person in a costume.
Yeah.
But mostly, I'm just like, if they get it wrong, it's like, no, until they get it right, or I'll just be like,
A lot of the times you just have to go with it.
If they call me a squirrel or chipmunk, I usually don't contest it. If they call me, I've been called like a monkey, I've been called a bear, I've been called a lion, and then I'm just like.
I know my character I have been called, he's a husky. I mean, he's been called a wolf more than he's been called a husky. That's pretty standard. I can't argue that. So
Try having somebody figure this out.
yeah, and there you go. See, but you see, and actually, what Niko did here, if anyone noticed, he was trying to mime to me letters to try and help me learn. That's actually. How would you for? What do you do it for? There's a bunch of kids running up to you. What would you do? There you go.
Yeah, that's
okay.
the most important thing. When you're
Make yourself
that age
smaller.
group, you have to bring yourself to their level, because you have to remember to that age group you're a big hulking thing, and that can be very intimidating. So you have to get down on their level and make yourself more accessible.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent point. The kids remember, and as you said, you're a giant thing to them. Like they're gonna look at you and go, oh, it's that look, by the way.
Yeah.
just like this blank stare, like I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Don't you have to be careful when you're kneeling down like that in a fursuit?
Absolutely, always look down first. Remember, you're supposed to have spotters to help you. Your spotters in this case are your eyes and your ears, so make sure they're on the ball. But at all the same, try and be aware of, again, know your environment. Make sure you know where everything is, where these kids are coming from, and roughly how long they're going to take to get to you.
Because if you're kneeling down, wouldn't it be easier for like the children to kind of mob you?
Yep.
And it would be harder to get up.
Yep. Which is why if they're mobbing you, don't kneel down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. But kneeling down, I'm just to cover that point though. Let's say it's usually only 2 or 3 kids, maybe a brother and a sister kind of thing, or a couple friends. They'll come over to you typically, and they'll want to hug you or they'll want to high five you. And that's I noticed that's what you were doing. You were going out for the high five, and that's exactly what you want to do. You want to draw them into a game, because typically kids want to be guided. They want to know what you're doing. And the first thing, and you did it perfectly, Niko, is bring yourself to their level. Kids, and this is true out of suit, by the way, as well. Anybody who works with kids knows this. A kid will act completely different to you when you're standing over them like this compared to when you're down with them. If you're eye level with them, you're now one of them. You're equal with them. And so it's actually psychology. It's proven with psychology that that's the case. So kneeling down is a great way to get their attention. After that, if they're mobbing you, yes, absolutely, stand up, and you can do so without hurting anybody, because standing up you're not going to do much unless they're right beside you. So you can stand up, take a look around, know where you are, make sure your spotters are on the ball, and if they're not, have a signal, something. Our signal is this, which is basically crazy person, get them away from me. And so this is our signal. So make sure you've got all that worked out in advance too. So kids will do that. Now I'm sorry, did I cover your question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm losing track of where I'm going here. So greeting people, so you just did that. So now how would you greet, as an example, Niko, let's say you've got a bunch of preteens coming up. How would you greet them? Coming up? Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, that's again knowing your audience. That in that case, your audience is someone who's not going to accept a high five type situation. They might, but it's not going to be quite the same group. by being kind of buddy, sort of, you know, the gangsta thing and just sort of getting down. You will find, remember, that's how, did you just put a cap in my anyway, so knowing your audience will immediately bring them into your performance and allow them to accept you as a character instead of making fun of you, potentially causing damage to you, and so on. I mean, because remember, you gotta. I mean, if you can make them smile, typically, if you pull that off properly, they'll probably fist bump you or something, or they'll come up and do this. I find fist bumping is actually really popular.
Yeah, along with teens.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
believe it or not, a lot of the younger high school age kids actually do not look down on us too much. All my sister's friends think my suit is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I sorry. Oh, I missed your question. You had a question earlier.
Oh,
and
I didn't.
Oh, okay. I thought you did. Sorry. Okay. The no, yeah, absolutely. And actually, interesting story. I actually wore my fursuit at Christmas dinner this year, and out of request by my family, I will say. But the interesting part was that my cousins, who are in the 15, 16, 17 age group, they're the ones that still talk about it the most. They took pictures. They thought it was awesome. Like, they honestly thought it was awesome, and they're like, "This is so cool. I can totally see why you're into this." So, again, if you pull it off right, you'll get best friends out of it. You'll get people that'll think you're awesome, and you'll brighten their day like you wouldn't believe. You know, just how you would with one of us. I mean, if you're coming up and you're buddy, that kind of thing, it's totally different. Anyways, so now in adults, really, I don't think there's much difference. I haven't found I mean, you can't be obviously gangsta with them. Just like a wave, exactly. Just a wave. Just, you know, remember what they expect of you. Okay, and that's actually the other side of it. Put yourself in the viewer's perspective. What do you look like to them? And just like, that's why it's so key. Yes?
With adults and especially, I go almost entirely on their facial expression. When people are like, if they just totally brighten up, big smiles on their faces, I'll usually do this and extend an offer for a hug. If they're just kind of like, you look kind of weird, I'll just wave at them and move on. And if they're just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to think about this, you know, usually just a handshake or just a wave or whatever. But it's the ones, you can always tell the ones who are really into it and really think you're awesome, and those are the ones you say, hey, give me a hug.
Yeah, you really have to gauge their reaction because everyone's different. Some adults have a phobia of fursuits, as we talked about earlier. So you gotta kind of just
I've noticed my most negative reactions have been with adults.
Yep. Adults are the ones who will be the most inflexible for things as you just brought up, fear. And actually sorry, yes.
I've honestly had both ends of the spectrum with adults. You know, they're the ones that seem to get the most into it. They just absolutely love you. They love what you're doing, or they just think you're creepy and want you to go away.
I'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. The problem with adults, or one of the challenges with adults, is that specific subject. And in fact, that's a perfect bridge. That's what I was just going to get into. The fear of mascots is a very, very prominent thing. And it's actually not necessarily mascots. It's actually sometimes just covered faces, people who can't see expressions. It's very common, and more common than you think. In fact, a lot of people don't realize clowns are the #1 fear in, I think, the world, if I'm right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
It actually is. Look it up. It's actually the biggest fear of clowns.
They're creepy.
They're creepy. And you know what? I hate to say it, we're not far from it. We're really not far from a clown. So.
But we're fuzzier.
No, I didn't say we're not better. But anyway, so with that said, you have to make sure that gauge people's reactions on that as well. Because, I mean, if someone's running away from you very quickly, or not running necessarily, although I have had that too, but if they're walking away quickly, trying to avoid you, like not looking at you intentionally, it's usually best not to push it. Don't push it. I mean, in a con, maybe that's okay. You can run up to somebody and hug them and be like, "Aha, you tried to avoid me, too bad." That is not a good idea in
Well,
public.
cons are really different environments, honestly,
Yes.
because we're all part of this subculture, and we kind of understand the rules and how far we can bend them.
That's right. That's exactly it. We know exactly how far we can take it, and that's the difference about cons, like you said. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I don't know. Last year I met a person here and he was under 18, so he brought his mom. His mom had a phobia of fursuits. But he couldn't bring his dad because his dad would have killed him. You know, so he brought his mom, and his mom comes into his hotel room, and she's just like, I was in an elevator with 3 of them.